agreed to send Jermain Defoe to Sunderland of the Premier League in exchange for U.S. men's national team striker Jozy Altidore and some cash. Defoe joined A.F.C last January for a reported $10 million transfer fee. That's on a 4-year deal. The 32-year-old striker scored 8 goals in his first 9 MLS games, but then he had a nagging groin injury. He missed some time, and he was limited to 3 goals over his final 10. While an agreement is in place, Altidore has to go through the MLS allocation process before he can officially join A.F.C. Toronto is 6th in the allocation rankings and doesn't believe a team ahead of them has interest. However, there is belief that the MLS wants Altidore in New York playing for the Red Bulls. New York could make a move for him and force A.F.C to come to a settlement. Lots of moving parts here. With more on Defoe's time in Toronto, here is our soccer analyst, Jason DeVos.
Well, it was a year ago today that Jermain Defoe was introduced to the Toronto FC faithful, and it was promised to be a bloody big deal. He came in, he got off to a great start, scoring 2 goals in the first game against Seattle Sounders. In the end, I think people are going to be left with a feeling of disappointment and maybe what could have been for Jermain Defoe in a Toronto FC jersey. You know, he managed to score 11 goals in 19 games, but spent a considerable amount of time injured and a considerable amount of time back in England getting treatment on those injuries. So I think it really is a case of an excellent player just not fitting into Toronto FC and what they were trying to do at the club. I think it's a challenge for any player when they go to a different country in a different league in a different style of play, not only to fit in on the field, but to be happy off the field. And that was a challenge, I think, for Jermain Defoe. You know, in the dressing room, when you talk to the other players in Toronto, they said he was an excellent teammate, and when he was fit and available, he was a real asset to the club. And I don't think you can deny that impact that he had on the team. But ultimately, an unhappy player is going to have their performances affected in a negative way. And it was clear that Jermain Defoe, when there were offers for his services in the transfer window, that perhaps he was fancying a return back to the Premier League to play in England once again. Obviously, the disappointment of being left off the England team to go to the World Cup was a big blow for him. And you have to wonder if perhaps playing in Major League Soccer affected Roy Hodgson's decision not to take Defoe to the World Cup in Brazil. So for Defoe to go back to England, and I'm assuming will finish his career there now, is obviously a move that fits him, and it also allows Toronto FC to make a clean break and move in a new direction.